And yet we have another survival game that is based on floating islands. I'm not sure what's going on with survival games these days, if it's purely coincidence or games are simply just inspired by one another, but lately we've been getting a lot of games based around floating islands. Survival games in particular. Last week I covered Lost Skies, which is basically Zelda mixed with Valheim. This one in particular is very much similar to Aloft, hopefully I pronounce it right, which is another floating island survival game that recently dropped on Steam in early access. Then on top of that, we also have Atmosphere taking development, and it seems like it's gonna hit sometime in 2025. Now, something I've said previously before back when I covered Lightyear Frontier was that that game in particular lacked in threat or some sort of upkeep. Some games are so visually appealing, but they lack challenge and lacking things to keep you going, even if it's something as simple as keeping your hunger depletion attached to the game. Instead of mindlessly collecting resources and building cozy homes with little to no upkeep, I think it's completely normal, if not necessary, to implement some sort of system into the game that keeps the player in check, so to speak. It doesn't have to involve monsters attacking your base or implement horde knights or anything along those lines. Now, why am I saying all this? Well, the game I'm about to cover is called SolarPunk, which is visually stunning and it screams cozy the second you launch the game. Everything about this game seems very chill and relaxing, and yet they have a system in the game that, just like I said earlier, keeps the players in check, so to speak. How does it do it? That's the question. Well, it's simple. They have a thirst and hunger system implemented into the game, which adds that extra challenge that I was talking about. You're not just mindlessly roaming and discovering things in the game. No, you still have your thirst and hunger meter, which does affect your player once it gets critically low. Not only is the building system in SolarPunk spectacular, but this game seems to pull you with its factory-like gaming style. In SolarPunk, you start from essentially nothing on the island. But as you collect resources around that spawn point, you do utilize the resources you collect and become self-sufficient. And yet, that system alone doesn't rob this game of cozy feeling, not even slightly. As a matter of fact, I still feel the coziness that this game provides despite the fact that I have a hunger and thirst meter. SolarPunk is exactly what the title of this game hints upon the second you say it. Basically, you rely on the natural source of energy to keep yourself alive and healthy. Meanwhile, do absolutely everything you would expect out of a good and cozy, relaxing game that is indeed survival. You get to grow crops, build these simple and yet very effective structures. The building system alone already has different shapes and designs to fulfill your creativity, but this is not even the best part of this game. The immersive ship controls and functionality makes this game stand out so much from any of the games I've previously covered on this channel. I'll be completely honest with you guys, I was not expecting this game to be as polished and smooth running as it was. Performance was phenomenal, maintaining a solid frame rate with no hiccups whatsoever. Obviously, the game is not crazy when it comes to the visuals, but I've seen games with less demanding graphics perform terrible, and the fact that this demo was so optimized and genuinely enjoyable, that alone took me by surprise, and it gives me hope for the full release of this game, let alone early access. But on top of that, this is a demo, which means, for one, this game is extremely limited with content, and secondly, this is just the surface of what is to come to SolarPunk. The animation was very solid. I couldn't quite figure out the third-person perspective, especially seeing some of the screenshots from Steam. Third person may be completely disabled, as of right now at least, leaving this game first person only, but nonetheless, the fun was certainly there, and I undeniably loved my time with it. I can't recall the last time I played any demo over 2 hours. SolarPunk is taking little puzzles from other games, combining them together, and surprisingly it works perfect. It's got your typical factory management style of gaming. Then of course we have survival elements, and you get to fly around and discover new islands along with some new exciting items and resources that are scattered all across this universe. Overall, it's a lovely game. I highly recommend it. I'm sold. These devs know what they're doing, and I'm here for it. I will certainly come back and cover the full early access release once it's here.